Good evening, Dr. March. This is Team A, composed of Melissa Solorzano, Flavio Flores, and Vince Hernandez. We are in our final Zoom session to discuss our action plan presented in the form of a video. So I would like first to introduce ourselves. Starting with Ms. Melissa, please.
Hello, everyone. Dr. March, good evening. My name is Melissa Solorzano, and I will be presenting the final video. As you requested, you gave us 3 options, so I will choose option 3, where I can present my idea to the Board of Directors at EIS, hoping that they will like this idea and implement it.
Thank you, Ms. Melissa. Mr. Flavio?
Hello, good evening. My project is about option 3 as well. I am supposed to present to the Board of Directors and promote the Media Center for Professional Development.
Thank you, Mr. Flavio. And my name is Vince Hernandez, and I opted for option 1, which is related to the following. You have been invited to present at the next Strike conference, which by the way is coming up soon in 2 weeks, on a topic related to supervision or staff development. Your presence has been sought after 4 years, and now educators will get a chance to view your video presentation. In preparation for the conference, you are using the theory of appreciative inquiry. So we appreciate in advance your valuable feedback and any observations that you can give us, as long with what we're going to be sharing each other. So I would like to start first with Ms. Melissa Solorzano. So I'm going to present her video. So give me a moment. I'm going to share the screen, and I'm going to start with her video. So I'm going to go to, sorry, let me do this. See if this is the one. I think it's here. Where did I put it? There you go. Okay. So thank you. Let's start.
This is Melissa Solorzano, and I want to share with you an idea that I want to implement at EIS. The name of this idea is Expanding Flexible Learning Spaces at EIS, Promoting Creativity from ECC to High School. This is an appreciative inquiry approach. We will be developing each of these 5 components through the presentation. Number 1, define or design. What is our desired outcome? At EIS, we want to promote flexible learning spaces for our students, maintaining a perspective that views students as enthusiastic learners eager to explore and discover. Cultivate spaces that encourage in-depth discussions, enabling them to initiate projects addressing pressing global issues, among other significant topics. Down the road, we go to discover. What are our strengths? At EIS, we have been blessed with a beautiful campus next to the Marandon Mountains. Those views ignite creativity in everyone that takes the time to absorb and enjoy the view. At the ECC, we have had the experience of teaching through play and exploration with fantastic results in students' learning, so why stop there? Let's continue to celebrate and adapt to different teaching styles and learning needs. Dream. Let's dream together. What would work in the future? Change is a constant force, and it often brings about positive transformations. We see innovative, adaptable working spaces emerging, designed to nurture and celebrate the unique individuality of each person's learning and working style. Then the question arises, why should education be left behind in this evolution? Why should we continue to wait for a transformation that we have the power to initiate? Let's take the lead in promoting flexible learning spaces at EIS where students can truly flourish and surpass their potential. Design. What actions can we take to make this happen? First of all, we would like to have all stakeholders at EIS be part of this project, especially teachers and students that will greatly benefit from this new learning environment with flexible spaces for them to use. Our action plan. We would like to conduct a needs assessment to understand the specific requirements and preferences of teachers, students, and the curriculum. We will define measurable goals to evaluate the success of the project. Thankfully, budget won't be a problem, so space renovations, technology integration, and teacher training will take place on demand. Ensure reliable and up-to-date technology infrastructure, including high-speed internet, interactive whiteboards, and audiovisual equipment. Also, encourage project-based learning and inquiry-based approaches that leverage the space's flexibility. Last one, deploy or destiny. What do we want to have at the end? Well, at the end, this initiative will bring along improved student engagement, critical thinking skills, and their ability to take on real-world challenges. Students can become change makers in the global context through their projects and initiatives. One of the most enjoyable aspects of this whole idea is just to watch all the middle school students and high school students just having fun learning and finding or discovering their true passion. And one of the most challenging challenging steps that I found during this whole idea is just making sure that we are all on board, just selling this idea in a way that we would all want to participate to make EIS a better place to learn. So, hey, why not? Let's keep on dreaming. And this one is a big dream that we want to conquer. Thank you all.
Okay, so that is the idea, the big idea I had. So let me know about your feedback or any changes that I might do to the presentation to upload it tomorrow.
I noticed that your transitions from one part to the next are very appropriate. I also see the enthusiasm that you communicate through your voice tone. And also, I like the part of the transition, no? From ECC, it's a long journey to get to high school, but if we find a point of equilibrium with students, they feel engaged and motivated, and as you said, the passion for learning, that's gonna make a big difference, not only for EIS, but also for all schools that they can follow this model. So congratulations, it's really encouraging what I see in your presentation.
Yeah, so that is one of the things that I wanted, and it's not, we have talked about it at the ECC, how we can just continue with this play and with this exploration all the way to high school. And through this course, just reading all the articles and everything that Dr. March gave us, it really ring a bell when it talked about flexible learning spaces, because we do have the space in the campus. We only need just to make sure that everything is working together so that it can take place.
One of the things that I liked about flexible learning spaces is that there are the design is so varied that you can have specific areas for group work, specific areas for the students that work better individually, a lot of visuals, a lot of colorful stuff that is very stimulating, particularly with the little ones. So I think the flexibility also has to be modular. If I were to add something to that, that means that it can be, it could be transformed depending on what the class needs are. I think that's the only component that I would add to that. And I like it very much that you integrated the technology component on it. And some of the things you mentioned on technology do match with the project that I have.
Okay, super. Yeah, so what I was thinking about when I was listening to it and just noting right now, it's also how it also aligns to the curriculum, how we've been doing the CGC, which is a project-based and inquiry-based, and it really helps. And it really helps, like, this whole idea where the students are the one guiding the learning, and we're just there to guide them in a way, but they are the ones owning their learning.
I think that's very important to make awareness to the students that learning is a process, and if we tailor or customize the way they learn the best, that will make a big difference in the future as well, especially now that we are in a artificial intelligence era. I will say that we don't know what's going to happen in the next 5 years, if we're going to be replaced by some type of robot, or we're going to be able to continue our human-like activities.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I would like to present, let me stop presenting from here. And the next one that I would like to share is Mr. Flavio's document. So I'm going to make sure that I have it here. Excuse me. I need to make sure that first I have it available. And it's to... And this one is not. And here. I need to stop this one, the next. Okay, so I'm going to present and okay. So I'm not going to expand the window because it might take a little slow.
Good evening. This is my final project for the leadership course. This is the conclusion of all the training that I've been doing this last month. So my project right now, it's a media center for professional development, and I'd like to share it with you right now. The media center is a project that will act as an extension of the teaching and learning department. This can be a project that can act in order to assist the teaching and learning department into the training process that we are also working with. Right, this year it's full of transitions and processes that the teaching department is leading. So the idea is to create a media center that complements that, and it looks like this. I mean, it is a data center for professional development. It's a digital space basically reserved to produce, store, classify, and use PD materials for educators in multiple formats as an extension of what the teaching and learning department is doing. Likely most of the time when we receive training by the teaching and learning department, in those cases, it's usually a lost PowerPoint after it, and that PowerPoint gets lost in the mail. So what we want to produce, the reason why I want to do this, is because I want to provide, first of all, a unified and permanent learning space for the teachers, right, to reduce the information dispersal, and at the same time to centralize this into one easy-to-use, one-click kind of solution. This website might have the following outcomes. It has to be organized and data that is relevant to all school-wide activities, or by divisions like middle school or high school, or subject areas like science and math. The idea is that this content creation has to be done by teachers or trainers or invited guests that will focus on whatever teaching and learning department is doing, right, in multiple formats. And it has the potential to serve not only ourselves as teachers or just our PD, but also to complement or extend activities like counseling, for example, do with parents or with students, message boards, everything that can be serving as a communication center helps to complement that. It has that potential. It also has the potential to be shared with other communities, with the school community and other school communities in order to share knowledge and build networks. Like I said a moment ago, this project would be led by the teaching and learning department, which is the one that decides what is to be trained, how is to be trained, when is to be trained. The project consists in the creation of a production space for professional development materials and content for school leaders, teachers, parents, and students in multiple formats and methods. That being said, they are the ones leading, but we will include new talent by adding more teachers to this in order to enrich it and complement it. How will that work? Through inquiry. First of all, to discover, right, I had to determine and make questions about what are the school-wide objectives, what is the school going to be doing during the short-term, mid-term, and long-term? What is the teaching and learning process? How do you do it? When do you want to deploy certain activities? When do you want to do a particular kind of training? So I needed to know what the scaffolding was. I also needed to know what the training objectives were, when, how, and who was going to deliver those in order to properly understand what the plans and structure are. Then I also had to survey the knowledge base, find out how could we match these objectives to the teachers that are around us. How can we involve them and have them contribute with their knowledge to complement what they're doing? And third, I also needed to know if this was an all hands on deck kind of thing. Like if everybody's going to be involved, or only a group of specific teachers were going to be integrated. So those are the questions that need to be made before attempting at any kind of activity. Then the second component is the dream section that appears on the 4Ds is basically how does this look like? And it's going to look, first of all, it's going to be centralized. Second, it's going to be practical. That means that it's got to be a one-click kind of thing. It has to be very easy to use, very simple to view, and very practical and easy to download or to share. So those possibilities need to be there in a very practical format. Much like we do in the mobile phones, it has to be like that in any kind of device. There has to be also, for this, I think of something that is an opportunity for everyone to collaborate and integrate. That means that we all have something to share. We need to put it over there and share it with everybody else, and of course extend it with other learning communities. That's what I dream of in a broad sense. Now the design begins with the outcome, and the outcome is, how does this look like? So the format, some of the formats that might be included are magazines that are already done by monthly. That one we already do. Weekly articles, weekly recorded podcasts, monthly live podcasts, interviews, videos, short videos, longer videos, and any kind of other format like open forums, for example, when needed, as needed by the teaching and learning department, can be designed. So those are the outcomes, and now that we have the outcomes in mind, we know what is needed in order to do it. So that's the action plan in the design section. First of all, nothing can happen without administrative approval, so we begin by socializing all this, making sure that everyone involved in this is aware of what the plan is and how is it going to be deployed. Second, aligning. The aligning part is basically connecting. This is what teaching and learning has to do. This is how it looks like when it's finished. And third, how will IT make this happen in the sense of technical matters? What platforms are needed? What software is needed? What audio editing tools are needed? What video tools are needed? Then, once everything is set up and ready, we can begin integrating and matching the teachers. These teachers are specialists in mathematics. This is a mathematics training. They can have a perfect fit in there. And then begin the process of pre-production, production, and post-production, which is common in any kind of media production, right? So matching and aligning teaching and learning with this. The timeline is basically the same. It might take a few months, but once this setup, which might take between 1 to 3 to 5 months, depending on how far it takes for admin, teaching and learning alignment, and IT to prepare everything. Once the process begins, planning and production is permanent. Finally, there are goods and bads on this. I mean, the goods is that this is an open program because I adhere to open education principles. That means that this is free, available for everyone, right, and accessible to anyone that wants to enter. Open website. It's got to be done by teacher because no one knows better our craft than ourselves. And then this is also a good platform for teachers. That means that there are teachers that have so much talent that are confined to their classrooms, and they're so talented that they need to be seen. So we offer a spotlight for them through this kind of media production. The challenges for this is that this is very cost intensive. That means that we need software, we need computers, we need lights, we need cameras, we need microphones, we need platforms, we need training, we need time for preparing for pre-production, production, and post-production. All of it takes time and resources. So without the financial backup or without the time or effort backup or a proper structure of development, this is going to be a little bit cost intensive. Finally, this is a sample, right? This is how it looks more or less. This is one of the outcomes. This is a magazine that's produced, which I lead in this process. These are some software pieces that I use for production of Aprende magazine, which is the one you're looking at the samples. And these are samples for the sports edition, but we have plenty of samples. Every 2 months, something comes out. And new editions are already on the process of going. Now we're extending it to more. So these are it's a sample of one of the media, right, that can be used. This one is done with the support of EIS staff, beginning with the superintendent who participated in this issue, and other teachers as well. These are some of the references and sources that I investigated in order to assemble all these. I needed to have a perception on how to use open resources, how to make it accessible for everyone. I needed to know how open education works. I also went into appreciative inquiry in order to check how this works. And finally, some basics of media production. This is not perfect, but it can be done. It can be done through proper work and practice. I think it can be done very well. So that's basically what my project is. Every other detail is on the other document, and that's it. And I hope you like it. Thank you. Okay, that's pretty much the project. I mean, I think it's quite self-explanatory, but if there are some ideas that I have perhaps missed, I'm all ears.
If I have to say something, I would say, wow, like all the organization, the way that you are going to create this platform, it really rings a bell in a way that we would be able to have access to all this information in an easy way, that we can just go ahead, get into the platform, navigate it, and just get that specific information that we want. And I see how it will be also tailored to every teacher's need in a way that we are the ones creating the path that we want to follow, depending on that information or the topics that are more interesting to me. And also the cherry on top for me would be that open webpage that you were talking about, how all this information, it's not only for EIS, but in a way we can share it with other teachers, with other schools, and we can all benefit from this information. So way to go, super. Really enjoyed your presentation.
I do share the same feeling, Mr. Flavio. Congratulations on your presentation. Also, from my perspective, I know you're trying to present this in a virtual way, which is great. I was also thinking about a maker's place in the case of my class, and it has very similarities with your idea. And the way that you also present is well organized, and hopefully the school say, okay, Mr. Flavio, let's go for it. And yeah, that would be a great acquisition for the school.
I think one good advantage that we have is that some of those components are already there and they're easy to use, like cameras and lights. I mean, we already have those things. Some other what we need more is kind of like the operating structure. Is that I think that's what we would need in order to make it happen in the dimension that I'm presenting it. Of course, Aprende already exists. I mean, you know that almost everyone from the superintendent all the way through the staff have at some point participated in the magazine, and this magazine is spread all over. I mean, it's not only for EIS, but I distributed all over Honduras and other countries. So I think the project has a lot of potential to create something really valuable for teachers. And I think it has a greater dimension than just our classroom. I mean, it can go beyond, way beyond that, if we find someone who backs it up, because it's really cost expensive. But other than that, that's something that I would gladly do. I would happily leave the classrooms for that.
Right. So finally, I will be presenting mine. So I'm gonna stop sharing for the moment, and I'm going to put my video right there, ready to go. And I just need to present again. So then we provide again feedback. Okay. Good afternoon, Dr. March. I hope that this video finds you well. I will be presenting my final action plan. Before I start, I want to thank you for all the learning opportunities that you gave us that make me reflect on my best teaching practice, and I hope to implement it in my daily routines. So let me present. Based on the instructions for this final video, my title is Strategic and Meaningful Professional Development, Shaping the Minds of the Future EIS 21st Century Problem Solvers. The introduction, I have divided the introduction into 4 parts. The first one is mentorship. I think that pairing experienced educators with newer teachers provide guidance, support, and opportunities for growth and job satisfaction. I remember my first year at EIS, it was a very pleasant experience because I felt very supported by colleagues and also by the administration. The action research is important also because collaborative or individual research that focus on solving real classroom or school-related issues effectively is important in the process. Assessment and data analysis, I think that it is also a very crucial part of the strategic professional development. Here I could apply perfectly the appreciative inquiry because we learn to collect, analyze, and use data to inform instructions and improve students' outcomes with higher academic rigor, which is what we're looking for. The other day I was looking at a cartoon where they were showing the before and after of education and how at some point we have lowered our rigor to the students. Now we're trying to kind of like foot spoon the students with knowledge instead of like trying to challenge them with open-ended questions. And last is the Global Education Initiative. This promotes global competence and cultural awareness among educators and students. Creating an inclusive learning community is also important. I think that we want to be very global in the sense that we want the students not only to be aware of their country, but also of the entire world. The stage 1, which is the discovery, I do have the following setting. Professional learning communities, PLCs, are very important in the process because they engage in collaborative learning and sharing resources. And we can do this through interviews, surveys, SWOT analysis, case studies, and peer observation. Webinars and guest speakers is another important option because we can incorporate discussions, conferences, workshops, focus groups, fresh perspective on reflections and insight are also valuable. We just had one professional development given by a very famous speaker, and he was Kevin Bartlett, and he gave us a very clear presentation about incorporating the 3 C's in our teaching practices. A workshop on reading and research also creates summaries or presentations to share findings with other colleagues. That's very important as well, and create a structured introduction to new concepts or teaching strategies. And last but not least is the online courses. I also think that because of the compromises that we have and the limited amount of time that we have for teaching, having the option of online courses can help us in the process. I have taken, for example, courses from Coursera, from edX, and I know that he also gave us, Dr. March, an opportunity to also select from other sources to prepare for, future professional development. So here, the flexibility for timing and access to a wide range of resources that is beneficial in the process. The interaction with artificial intelligence applications for feedback also is great. I have used it before for my coding and robotic classes and my programming classes as well in APCSP and APCSA, and they were fantastic for me and for my students. Stage 2, the dream part. I think that I divided into 3 parts, and the article of Edutopia about what would be 3 things that we want to give if we were administrators to teachers. I think this fits perfectly because it's the autonomy, the competency, and the teamwork. That's the way I envision that. And that's why I use this image of a rocket, because once we launch, we aim to the sky. There's no limit. In the case of autonomy, the independence and self-determination to make professional judgment about classroom management, curriculum and instructional methods, and of course the formative and the summative process, I think that is every teacher's dream. Competency, of course, we want effective pedagogy with innovation and creativity, research and evaluation, critical thinking and problem solving. That's something that I have it as a target every year for my students, the before and after, I call it, and the emotional intelligence. I think that's important also to have community engagement. So all the stakeholders, and that involves parents, administrators, PTA, and board of directors. Teamwork, also, there's no an I in teamwork. So this is a collaboration, commitment and dedication of all interested parts in the process. So building a stronger colleague relationships is important. That's what I chose that in my last discussion to foster this relation among teachers. I think that creates a more welcome environment and healthy as well. Interdisciplinary collaboration and planning, and student parent involvement, and of course the administration support. Then for stage 3, I had divided into 4 parts also. It looks like 4 is my magic number. Stakeholders, that will be the board of directors and the PTA. Budget, also the resource allocation and dispersion, sponsorship that we can get, data collection, statistical analysis, and also forecast. And then we want to have the strategic plan, which is the objective, timeline, mission, and vision that we want to establish for this. So I know I didn't include the timetable, but if everything goes well, we can accomplish this in one school year. Of course, it's an ongoing process, but it's doable if we plan appropriately. So what will be the outcome in the Unity will be learning pathways, technology integration, blueprints, and accessibility for all parents, teachers, and students. So in the design part, that's what I have these observations through my years of experience in teaching, and also before being a teacher, I used to work for a medical company as a sales manager. So I think it's important to involve careful planning throughout the consideration of pedagogical principles and the creation of engaging and effective learning materials. So that's what I tell the students. If you Google something, use Google Scholar, something that is reliable and trustworthy in the process. What should students be able to do or understand by the end of the learning process? That's one of my targets. And I also want to align the objective with the curriculum standards or educational outcomes. I want to also consider a variety of instructional strategies, including lectures, discussions, group work, simulations, and multimedia resources. I think that the design part, as I always emphasize that in my technology classes, is the backbone. Without a solid structure in the process, it's like a card castle, no, like a paper castle, or like a sand castle. It will just basically will be very weak and disappear. So in the case of the destiny, I have this divided also into 4 parts. I have a goal setting. That's as my one first step. The networking, the adaptability, and of course, the purpose. It might be that I could have changed the purpose to be in the upper layer, but there's a reason why I put it last. In the case of the goal setting, I want to define professional destiny. It said often brings with setting clear goals and aspirations. Teachers identify where they want to be in the future, such as achieving a leadership role. In my case, one of my targets is to be assistant principal. So I'm preparing to get the experience, and then of course with evidence of my performance, be able to have an opportunity to apply. Mastering a particular skill or making significant impact in their schools. Then in the case of networking, it's also important to build a strong professional network for teachers, and in this case, to be able to communicate with other experienced teachers about what we do. That's why I keep close contact with my college professors, and they have made a great impact in my teaching practices. Adaptability, I think that professionals must be adaptable and open to change as they work toward their career destiny. And this includes being willing to explore new roles, industries, or approaches when necessary. Then, of course, last is purpose and passion. I included the word passion also because finding professional destiny is also connected to the personal passion that we have and the sense of purpose. We want to achieve our career goals, and we want to be very passionate about the significance that we have in the student achievement. As I tell my students, there's no better gift than see a student be successful in their careers. Then, enjoyable moments. I think that I defined it also in 4. Professional growth, job satisfaction. We want to be also change factors and global citizen. I think that with all the things that we have lived from the pandemic, we want the students to be aware where they are and what they want to be. That's what I tell them. We need problem solvers. Bring a solution, not a problem. So innovation is important here. And as I said, in job satisfaction is making a positive impact, and change factors. We want to be a driving force that we can improve what we do in the educational system. The challenges, of course, here I define 6: resistant to change, limited resources, sustainability, time constraints, ineffective delivery, and assessment and evaluation. Most of the time, the problem with resistance to change is that we don't want to adopt any new teaching methodology because we have the mentality that if it works for me, why change it? Limited resources, it may happen even in the private schools because of other priorities. Sustainability, obviously, the problem is that the person who started the idea may leave the school and then the project stops. Assessment and evaluation, of course, has to deal with complexity in some cases, or the ineffective delivery that when there's a lecture style, it might not engage teachers effectively as if they do hands-on activities. And of course, the time constraint that sometimes, they cannot be done during regular school days. What's next? I think that there's 4 things that I want to envision for the future. One of them is the skill enhancement. That's one of the strengths that I foresee for my action plan. So I want to make sure that educators improve their teaching capabilities. The personal learning, I think that's a great opportunity because it will tailor what type of development we need to become better educators. One size fits all, that's a weakness because sometimes we mix with other divisions and perhaps what we are attending as a professional development is not what we actually need. And of course, the last one, which is the threats, is the overwhelming content that sometimes we get. Some schools, they want to implement an idea, a mission, and a vision in such a short time that we might not be able to accomplish that. So also, one other thing that I would like to tell is that in the process of strategic professional development, the important part is willingness and desire to be better educators. Thank you, Dr. March. Have a blessed afternoon. Thank you for my long video. I try to lower to 10 minutes, but sometimes I get caught in so many things.
First things first. That's a great template.
Yes.
Really liked it. Very aesthetic. In terms of what the topics were, I do like the integration of all what it takes for us teachers and coordinators and heads of department. Any kind of leadership, it's has to comply with all those requirements that you mentioned in the presentation. I mean, leading it's sometimes, I mean, in a sense, it's very idealistic because we have an objective, this ideal form, but one thing is the form we have in our head, and one other thing is the practice. And in the practice is where the challenges are. And I think you address them very well. I mean, it's for example, in the delivery part, sometimes it's challenging. We plan it one way and it goes in a different direction, or sometimes change is difficult. I mean, the only constant thing that exists is change, and then people don't really like to change too much. So it's very challenging to change the chip and turn it around and make it work. So you have not missed on the challenges and the things that need to be done in order to be best version of a leader who we can. You do need how to any leader needs to sharpen the saw as much as possible in order to be able to cut properly, right? So in a sense, you were very, very specific in what leadership is, and any teacher, any professional in education is a constant learner. So we're, in a sense, studying nonstop.
Thank you, Mr. Flavio.
Yes, I also want to add that that really caught my attention was the part about the dream, how you gave it those 3 steps where we have the autonomy, then we have the competency, and then we get to do the teamwork. And that is what we really want as teachers and leaders, to be able to work as a team, just always for the best of our students, where we are making those decisions, taking those decisions in which we are the ones tailoring all the plans, all the curriculum, everything that we're going to share with them in a way that it meets their needs. So I really love that part, how you were able to organize those thoughts in a way that it makes sense for all teachers, just to make sure that to keep that in mind and to have that goal. Because at the end, that is what we want. We want our students to be to have that cultural competence and to be able to thrive in a workplace globally. So it's really nice the way how you put it, how you put everything together in this presentation in a way that we can definitely target those learning experiences for our students.
Yeah, thank you very much for your feedback. It's appreciated, and I wish you the best. I know that it has been a week of many things to complete from our school, but also time to get a little break from the routine that we have to do every day. So I wish you good night, and thank you, Dr. March, for taking the time to provide also your feedback and any observation that you may have. So thank you.
Thank you.